Assalamualaikum. My name is Fatul Ratika binti Farida Iskanamiza with reference number 273075 from Group 2. We'll talk about our research proposal titled Road Accident in Malaysia. Road transportation tends to offer a great deal of value to a country and person, notably improving access to employment, economic opportunities, educational services, and health centers. In addition to the importance of mobility to the city, it has a detrimental impact on traffic collisions, such as deadly accidents. In Malaysia and other developed countries such as Iran, Thailand, and the United States, road traffic accidents are one of the most common causes of death. According to World Health Organization and World Bank estimates, countries with low and middle incomes are overwhelmingly impacted by road traffic accidents, responsible for nearly 90% of all road traffic-related deaths worldwide. The graph shows the number of road accidents that happened in Malaysia from 2010 until 2019. As we can see, the number of road accidents keep rising every year. Road collisions are caused by a variety of causes, the majority of which are due to users, the environment, and vehicles. The gender, age, experience, physical and behavioral features of drivers may also play a role in the likelihood and seriousness of injuries. The National Road Safety Plan 2014-2020 has met the Transport Ministry's target of lowering the annual death index due to road accidents. In 2020, the number of deaths and road accidents has been dropped over 30%. Meanwhile, during the MCO season, the number of injury cases decreased by 36.1% as compared to the same period last year. While the number of cases was considerably lower in 2020, the number of victims rose slightly by 11.4% according to the head of the Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department. Even though the number of road accident cases has been dropped in 2020, it has happened during MCO. After COVID-19 issues has been settled in the future, the road traffic will be back to normal, which can lead to the rises in road accident cases as prediction. In order to keep the number of road accidents from rising, the factors on road accident occurs need to be controlled as it is can be. The main purpose of the present study is to study one of the factors of road accident happen in Malaysia, which is drivers' behavior, and to suggest the prevention on road accident that caused by drivers' behavior. From the research, the prevention way can be known which the most effective in reducing the road accident cases in Malaysia. It is expected that the present study will help in making recommendations in order to improve road safety and reduce the road accident in Malaysia. Problem statement of the research. The number of road accidents is rising every year. The accidents happen with various factors such as human factor, vehicle factor, and environment factor. Human condition and driving action vary with age, emotion, opinion, and behavior, resulting in various human-caused accidents. In addition, the possibility of a collision occurring as a result of speeding or disobey the traffic light should not be overlooked. The number of road accidents will keep rising if action is not taken, and the road users will not feel safe whenever they are on the road. Addressing this will have practical benefits for every road user in Malaysia anytime and anywhere. This study aims to determine the driver's behavior that can lead to road accidents and the effective actions taken by the government to reduce the number of road accidents in Malaysia. This tool will identify the most drivers' behavior leading to the road accident and the most effective way to reduce it in non-voting truth survey using Google Forms.
There are two research objectives and two research questions. The first objective is to determine the most driving behaviors did among the male and female drivers. And the second objective is to determine the most effective action the government should take to reduce road accidents in Malaysia among three different age groups. For the research questions part, the first one is what are the most driving behaviors did among drivers. The second one is what is the effective action should government take to reduce road accidents in Malaysia. Next is scope of the research. This research aims to determine the most driving behaviors that the drivers did before, and we also want to find out the most effective action that government should take to reduce road accidents. In this study, 200 drivers in Malaysia will asked to fill in the online survey form to examine their driving behaviors and their thoughts toward the action taken by the government to reduce road accidents. The duration of the study is about 6 weeks. There are 5 significance in this study. The first one is finding of up-to-date information about the nature and extent of road accident in Malaysia. The second one is data collected from the survey answered by Malaysian drivers will provide the drivers' behavior when driving and their thoughts toward the action should take by the government to reduce road accidents based on the options given. The third one is finding of this research will assist the policy makers and they can use the data to understand the importance of driving behaviors in road safety. Okay, the fourth one is in this research we will also assist the government in finding the most effective action that can reduce the number of road accidents. The last one is the recorded observation is helpful for the other researchers in finding the effective action to reduce road accidents.
Fatal injuries at the roads remain a pro-wide concern. Every day, around 18 traffic accidents occur on the Malaysian peninsula, causing an average of 1 death per hour. This situation requires preventive measures. The improvement of powerful techniques to lessen such deadly injuries calls for the identity of diverse threat elements consisting of strict conditions. We recognize such twists of fate, severity, troubles of the usage of the general public paintings, and police branch databases that consist of 1,067 instances of diverse severity stages that befell at the Malaysian federal roads from 2008 to 2015. According to the World Health Organization, street side visitors accidents described as deadly or non-deadly accidents incurred because of a street side visitors crash, and road traffic crash is described as collision or incident which could or might not cause injury arise on a public street and regarding at the least one moving vehicle. The general question related to the impact of various contributing factors to the accident severity needs further clarification. To provide some basic insight, present work evaluated the influence of the geometrical road factors on the accident severity chances in Malaysia. The effects of many other factors were neglected because of considerable limitations associated to the data obtained from the accident reports. As for the year 2020, the movement regulations following the COVID-19 pandemic helped lessen the variety of road accidents via way of means of 26.3% remaining year, which motorcyclists accounting for almost all of death with 3,118 cases. Bukit Aman Traffic Investigation and Enforcement Department Director Aziz Man Alias stated that this was accompanied by automobile drivers with 888 deaths and pedestrians with 266 deaths a closing year. Speaking at a press convention on Facebook, he stated that the general range of road injuries had reduced through 26.3% with 418,237 cases as compared with 567,516 in 2019. Of the accidents in 2020, 4,287 have been fatal, 25.5% drop from the preceding year, which recorded 5,764 deaths. The range of motorcyclist deaths in 2020 became lesser than the 3,959 deaths recorded in 2019.
Good afternoon, madam. My name is Un Hui Ki and my metric number is 270442. So I will continue to share about our research methodology. We will use quantitative research in this project because our research will involve hypothesis testing. This quantitative research will use to obtain the first and second objective. In this research, primary data will be collected through a survey form. The survey will conduct a questionnaire to collect data about the demographic profile of the driver's driving behavior, and their thought toward the actions should take by the government to reduce road accident in Malaysia. We will design a questionnaire to find the answer to the relative questions to the driver. So drivers in Malaysia will be our target to answer the questions of the survey form. As a result, since a quantitative data is collected, so we will use quantitative analysis to interpret data using probability sampling method. Statistical analysis method also will be used to test the relationship between the variables. Next, I will talk about the sample size. In this research, we will focus on the driver who have a driving license. The population size will be the total number of drivers in Malaysia. Therefore, we decide that our population size for this research is about 200 drivers. To determine the survey sample size, we need to determine the confidence level, the margin of error, and response distribution. So the smaller the margin of error, the more confidence in our result. So we will set the margin of error about 5% and confidence level is about 95% in this research. Next, we will estimate the response distribution. Response distribution refers to the expected people to respond to the survey questions. Since we do not know the exact response distribution, so we will use 50% as our response distribution, and it will give the largest sample size. By using a Z-score table, a Z-score of 95% confidence level is 1.96. Then we substitute the Z-score 1.96, response distributions 0.5, margin of error 0.05, and population size 200 into the formula to determine the sample size. Therefore, by using this formula, the recommended sample size is 132 drivers. In short, the quantitative study will conduct with a sample size of 132 drivers out of 200 drivers consisting of residents in Malaysia. Next, I will talk about the sampling design. Since we do quantitative research, probability sampling techniques are used. The sample will be selected based on stratified random sampling and simple random sampling. Stratified random sampling is used to determine the most driving behavior that the male and female drivers did before. Simple random sampling is used to determine the most effective actions the government should take to reduce road accidents in Malaysia. So to conduct the simple random sampling, we will use the Excel tools like random number generator to select the sample randomly. So this slide shows the way we use stratified random sampling to select the sample size. First, we will separate the respondent into two strata based on gender, which is male and female. Then we will use simple random sampling to select the sample randomly from each strata. 66 male and 66 female will be selected. We give a sample of 132 drivers. And this slide shows the ways we use simple random sampling to select the sample size. 132 samples are selected randomly to determine the most effective action that the government should take to reduce road accident in Malaysia. The sampling frame is the whole population, and we use this method because every driver of the population will have an equal opportunity of being selected. So we can determine the effective actions more accurately. Next, we will come to the data collections. An online survey method will be used to collect the data. The target respondent, which is drivers, can complete this survey over the internet. We use this method to collect data is to understand the general characteristics and opinion of a group of people. We will distribute a list of questions online through Instagram, WhatsApp, Facebook, and other platforms to let the drivers answer this survey form. We will also mention that only drivers can answer this survey form. So in this survey, we will collect the demographic profiles, which is the driver's gender, age, driving experience, and the frequency of previous accident involvement. An email address also will be collected because we can contact them easily if they have any missing information. Then the data of driving behaviors that the driver did before also will be collected. We will choose 5 out of 10 driving behaviors from drive safety articles, which is speeding, use mobile phone while driving, disobey traffic light, changing lanes without signaling, and tailgating. The driver will choose the option yes or no in each driving behaviors. And in the last questions, they will choose the driving behavior they did the most before based on the answer they choose in the previous questions. Next, the driver thought toward the most effective actions that the government should take to reduce road accident will also be collected. The 4 actions that the government should take is to enforce speed limit, tamper-proof speed controllers should be made mandatory for all heavy vehicles. Only good quality helmets are available in the markets, and the eyes of all age driving license holders should be checked regularly. The driver will choose to agree or disagree with each actions. And based on the answer they choose, the driver will choose only one of the action they think can reduce the road accident the most in the last questions. Next, we will come to the statistical method. Chi-square test of independence will be used to determine the relationship between the most driving behavior of the driver did before and gender. We use chi-square test because the data have fulfilled the assumption of the chi-square test. According to Kent State University, the assumption of the chi-square test is the data must have 2 categorical variables. Each categorical variable must include at least 2 groups, and each group is independent. We fulfill all the assumptions because we have 2 categorical variables. The first categorical variables is driving behavior, and it contains 5 groups, which is speeding, use mobile phone while driving, disobey traffic light, changing lane without signaling, and tailgating. The second categorical variables is gender, and it contains 2 groups, which is male and female. Next, we have fulfilled the last assumption because we do not have the data that consists of pair samples, which means that there's no relationship between each group. On the other hand, chi-square test is also used to determine the relationship between the age group of the driver and their thought towards the most effective action taken by the government to reduce road accidents. We use this test because the data also have 2 categorical variables, and each categorical variables include at least 2 groups. So the first categorical variables is the age group, and it contains 3 groups, which is older age driver, middle age driver, and also younger age driver. Older age driver is the age that more than 50 years old. Middle age driver is the age between 30 and 50 years old, while the younger age driver is less than 30 years old. The second variable is the driver thoughts toward the action taken by the government to reduce road accidents. It contains 4 rules, which is enforce speed limit, tamper-proof speed controllers should be made mandatory for all heavy vehicles, only good quality helmets are available in the markets, and the eyes of all age driving license holders should be checked regularly. Next, each group is independent because each driver only can choose one effective actions to reduce road accident in the last question of the survey form. In short, in this research, we expect that the most of the driving behavior that the female driver did are use mobile phone while driving, while the most of the driving behavior that the male drivers did are speeding. We also expect that all three age groups would choose the actions to enforce speed limit as the most effective actions taken by the government to reduce road accidents. That's all our presentations. Thank you for listening.